Blended funding is another key component of the Headspace model. How does this funding model affect your practice?
Well, one of the challenges that I face in my role is that providing services under the Medicare scheme, I'm limited to 10 sessions, maximum of 10 sessions in every calendar year. So I do find that it can tend to become a focus of the sessions. The young person can get really anxious at times about how many sessions have we got left, and as soon as you start to look to the planning of how we're going to space these out, it can become a real issue. And it's very difficult to predict how they're going to progress over the course of the sessions. So it's something that's always at the forefront of my mind in planning from session to session, and when I should be recommending the next session to be, and being very aware that if it's in the early part of the year, that what am I going to do when we run out of sessions? And it's really important not to convey that sort of anxiety across to the young person who's sitting there, but at the same time it's also really important to plan the care so that we don't just run out. And of course I wouldn't just leave them stranded, but it is a really important feature. And the difficulty that we have in our centre is that the options after the 10 sessions have finished are fairly limited. And by that stage, if they've built rapport with you, they can have, all sorts of worries and concerns about having to go and connect with someone else. So that's a constant struggle, really. Yeah.
So I think it's important to be quite clear when you set up the treatment that these are our goals, this is what we can address in these sessions, and that might be okay for now, and maybe later down the track you want to address some other difficulties. Because otherwise we can set up big expectations, I think, and fall short in 10 sessions. Yeah.
Yeah, and like Dana, I'm in a salaried position as well, so I'm not restricted to the 10 sessions under Medicare. I guess the challenges around that is that a young person can see me as many times as they would like. And the difficulty there is sometimes you're just sort of enumerating and going over the same things, and you can also feel like you don't have much traction because you don't have an end date to your time together. So I think there's pros and cons to both.
How do you approach closing a young person's file if you feel that that would be the best outcome for the young person and that you've done all the work that you can with them?
In terms of leading up to the closure, we will talk about it quite early on. A lot of the young people we might see might have, for example, a sensitivity to that, not having that support anymore, be quite anxious about not having that. They've been used to having weekly sessions, for example. There might be a history of sensitivity to rejection, for example. So we'll talk about those issues quite early on, and how part of the process of therapy is coming to an ending as well, and that we will be talking about the emotions that come up as it gets closer to that ending. So I guess what I try and phrase it as is a positive experience of an ending, that it doesn't have to be a negative experience, and that will be something new for some people.
Yeah, I think if you're closing a young person's file, it's because they've actually achieved what they've wanted to get out of coming to Headspace. And as a clinician, I find the best thing for me to do is actually reflect with them around what I saw in them when they first presented to what I see in them now. And that journey speaks volumes to them around their own success and reaching their goals, and that's really, really important to do. Like, a closure is not just clicking a few tabs on whatever data system you use, or completing a few forms or whatever. It's really about celebrating that for the young person and commending them for the efforts they've made in help seeking for their own wellness.